What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. KIZUNA Clash is now live, so of course here we have the 10-star difficulty that I'll be covering in this video today. And with this first team, we have like 2 different teams for each variation. I showed one of each of these teams off in my initial video, in my preparation video, but I also have an additional team for each variation, which is heavily utilizing the new debut New Year's characters, because they are really useful and they kind of want you to use them in this quest, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we have, one team that doesn't really utilize them, and then we have another team that does utilize them. So in this team, stage 2 is actually pretty annoying. On the quick variation, there is a death hit, like a massive death hit when you kill this guy. Nami, Karina kind of deal with everything on this stage pretty much. They deal with the attack down, they deal with like the other stuff. I think there's threshold as well, and then they also provide like a damage threshold on your side of the team, so you can actually tank the hit, which is super good. And then of course when we reach the final stage, we're going to have Hiyori to remove Despair. We've got stun removal with either the Zoro special or the Wiper special. Wiper being particularly good because of his defense down, self-proccing defense down effect. Remember, you can pick up the Wiper for free from the Rumble shop for only 35 tickets. He comes in max special, super useful unit, probably one of the best Rumble free-to-play units we ever got. Super powerful unit. So if you do need him, he helps you a lot, gives you defense down conditional boosts, and he's just a really perfect unit for this. But also Hiyori works really well with the 8.5 anniversary Zoro character as well. So as I said, we have a secondary team for this variation. Now, I'm not really 100% like with this team. This team, like, it works and it does do a lot of damage, but definitely needs a little bit of tweaking. I definitely use specials in the wrong order on the final stage. I end up using Luffy special first, which isn't really the best thing to do, but at the same time, if you activate any kind of orb changing, the enemy will continuously give you badly matching slots. So Luffy, even though he does remove a lot of the despair, if you have Hiyori, definitely use Hiyori over the Luffy. He actually is just a better unit in this quest. Though if you do have Luffy with max super tandem, getting access to a really powerful super tandem is obviously very, very good as well. The annoying thing about using Yamato in this quest is the EX super condition. You need 3 of the Straw Hats, and then I think some of the Scabbards count as well, in order for her to get her EX super, which is really frustrating. Like, 3 listed characters for her effect is very frustrating, especially when her EX super, like, it's not great, but you do kind of need it for this team to work, because you need to tank the death hit, and her EX super gives cooldown reduction and the effect of the 70% damage reduction, so you can actually tank the death hit from stage 2. But Yamato has a really powerful special, huge color affinity, increased damage taken inflicted on the opponent, and also resistance down as well, which is kind of cool. And then Zoro Sanji are pretty clutch as well, removing defensive effects, attack orb boost, buff the attack and orb boost, full border tandem slots. And the cool thing about Zoro Sanji is that their switch effect doesn't activate the enemy interrupt, which is kind of key, so giving you really good matching slots. And as you see, after using the Luffy special, that the enemy will react to that. So if you have Hiyori, that's probably going to be a better option. Robin and Jinbei, not a great unit really, they just give you a base attack boost, but they're a Straw Hat unit that allows us to use the EX super of Yamato, does remove the Rainbow Shield on the last stage, which I guess is kind of cool. Moving on to the strength variation this time. So this is the team that I showed off in my initial preparation with one change, and that is the change of instead of having Onami on the team, I put the Momonosuke instead. So basically, if you don't have Momonosuke, then you want to replace him with a character that removes defense up. That's basically all you need it to do. Now, as for Roger Odin, the only role that they fulfill on this team, well, they fulfill two different roles. The first one coming up here on stage 2, because this is a character that can have that Rhizo support, which attaches to them, and it says that when you're inflicted with Bind, it will remove 1 turn of it, and it will go ahead and do a health cut at the end of the turn. So it's an effect that allows you to get around the resilience, which is pretty clutch, actually. But, you know, their special of Roger Odin is just there for an attack boost. We also have Server Masks, because we can use him on 2 different stages because he's able to recharge his special very quickly, giving us a full board of tandem slots, which does avoid the fact that the type slots are counted as badly matching. But if you have Roger Odin yourself, you probably just want to use him as a captain. But as I said, Roger Odin on this team, not really required, but you need some way to get around the resilience, and that Rhizo support, which can attach to this unit, is really good. And as I said, Momo isn't needed either, but you do need a unit to remove defense up, because the opponent does, he does actually resist the effect of defense down being inflicted. Whenever you inflict it, he removes the accumulated values effect, which is really, really frustrating. So you want to have some type of way to get around that, because I was testing with Onami, and for some reason when I used her special, it didn't actually remove the defense down. So yeah, pretty annoying effect overall. Remove the defense down, and then you'll be able to go ahead and go crazy. So if you were lucky enough to pull some of the New Year's characters, the strength variation is extremely free. Roger Odin as the captains are extremely strong here. Not only because they have that EX super in their special, you know, giving you a full board of Wano slots, locking them, so you don't even have to worry about getting bad slots throughout the rest of the quest. But the other gimmick about this fight is that if you enter the final stage and your health is above 50%, the enemy will inflict 13 turns of despair to your team. Now, normally that's a big issue, but if you have Roger Odin as your captain, the despair doesn't matter because the captain ability completely resists the despair that's inflicted. So, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, being at that low HP threshold. You can completely ignore that effect. Of course, with the rest of this team, we've got the Toadskii, which removes the bind here, which is good. And you do see that I use quite a bit of perfects when we reach this stage, even though the enemy has the resilience buff. Main reason for that is because with the Toadskii effect, if we hit a certain amount of perfects, we get the resistance down in the following turn. So that's pretty clutch, adding a lot of extra damage. Kinemon on this team isn't really required either, but you do need some type of unit to proc the EX super of Roger and Odin. I don't think Yamato counts for Roger Odin's EX Super, so, you know, the Kinemon, not really required. Toadskii, not really required either, but you do need a way to get around the bind. And then Zora Sanji just give you, like, massive damage. They do remove the defense up, which is pretty clutch. Yamato, obviously, giving massive damage, but Yamato isn't really needed either. She just gives color affinity and resistance down as well, so again, just more damage. And also the increased damage taken, which you cannot, you know, disregard. It's a pretty strong effect. But the annoying thing here is that there is Intimidate, so if you activate any Orb Boost or Conditional Boost, he takes away 1 turn of that, so that really nerfs the amount of damage that you can potentially do on this fight. So now we can go ahead and have a look at the next variation, which is going to be the Dex form, and this is also the team that I showcased in my video, my prep video. Now, one thing is they do kind of screw up here because I actually use Whitebeard special on stage 2, which really isn't a problem, but I should have probably put the support of Int Hina attached to Uta, so that when I use the special of the, so I could use like the special of Whitebeard and not be like really punished for that. Because we want to remove like 6 turns of threshold on the final stage, and because of Morley, he only removes 5 turns, so you know, you don't really have to use Uta on stage 2. If you have the Int Hina support, you can attach that to Uta and then save Uta's special for the final stage, and then it allows you to just freely go ahead and use the Whitebeard special. Remember to use a special before Whitebeard, because Whitebeard gets additional buffs if you have a tandem slot on him. And he also gets additional buffs as well if he's below 10% HP, but because the enemy cuts your health by 95%, Whitebeard special will always be in the buffed form. But you see that the Josu support did activate on stage 2. You would probably want that on the final stage once you're past level 31. but before level 31, the resistance, or not the resistance, but the resilience and the threshold, I believe, is only 5 turns, so it does make it a lot easier. But once you get past that level 30, 31 threshold, you do have to be careful in terms of how your specials are launching on this quest. But this team does a lot of damage, of course. You got the Super Tandem with Whitebeard too, working with the Rakuyo character, and then of course Ace with his final tap. You're going to do a hell of a lot of damage if you're able to get it to work, but of course it does require a lot of investment in order for Ace to work, but there will be plenty of friend captains around in this KIZUNA. And then looking at the final team, I decided to go ahead and try Izo because this whole quest is kind of built for Izo to work, and I will admit that this team isn't perfect once again. It was kind of just thrown together, but just a proof of concept that hey, Izo is actually a unit that you could use in this quest. But you know, it's pretty cool though, because Izo has great synergy with the free-to-play Whitebeard because you can actually generate the Super Tandem between the two, so that's dope of course. And then Ace works really well with the Izo and the Whitebeard together, that combo is so strong. If you have the KIZUNA Rare Recruit Marco, you can even go crazier with this combo. Everything here works really well together. This strength striker slasher shooter team that wants to be at low HP, multi-stacking conditional buffs. You know, you get these chain buffs and all these really cool abilities, so it's a really fun team for sure. We have this Usopp as well with the Sanji support to remove all of the resilience once we reach level 31 and above. Usopp removes 5 turns resilience, the support removes 1. He also removes chain reduction too, so that works really well so that we can get all of the chain buffs that we could possibly want, ignoring the ones on the final stage. Uta, of course, giving massive buffs to shooter characters, but the fact that we don't have a lot of characters that have barrier pierce is a little bit of a problem because we don't actually get a good chance to remove a lot of the threshold on the enemy side of the field. So even though this team is really, really cool, don't know if it's going to be the best combo moving forward, but it's a really, really fun team to use. But anyways, it's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Other than that, I will see you guys within the next video.